So hello everybody, Eugene Bogdistov here, and we make this video because some of you asked me to run one more time our seminar step by step through. And the main idea is that you have a short video where you can search step by step for different steps which you have to do if you process your data from your discrete choice experiment. I make this video in English because the English group speaks English, but not all of them speak German, and the German group speaks German, but all of you also speak English. That is why this video will be in English. Moreover, I promised you that if you know how to do the analysis of a discrete choice experiment, this would not take so much time. That is also a kind of test for me, how fast can I do it. So we have the stopwatch running, and we just try to do it step by step. First, I go to Qualtrics, I log into Qualtrics, and let's see where I find my data. As I do this recording in English, I will also take the data in English. This is in the study by me and Antonia. And at the moment we have 42 responses, if I was correct, and we'll see what we can do. First, we need to download the data. We go to Data and Analysis, and we go to Export, and we export data. Here I choose the SPSS. I don't need any additional options because in my event we have the basic experiment. We didn't do any additional manipulations. So I download the file. It is being downloaded. Now I open this file in SPSS, so it appeared in my second screen. I'll transfer it to the first one that you can also see it. And here is my data file. So first I see that I have a lot of answers here, a lot of options, and how many do I have? That's 42 people who at least clicked on this questionnaire. So I don't know how many did. For example, the person number 32 you see didn't give any answer, so probably this person, he or she, did not participate in the experiment, just clicked on it. I go to the variable view, and many of these variables are automatically generated by Qualtrics, so we don't really need them. If you made your experiment in only one language, then you can delete also the user language. If you did it in 2 languages and you would like to compare groups by language, then you don't have to delete this item. In my event, it was all in English. And these first questions, they do not relate to our research. These are the questions by Antonia and the psychological distance and social identity. So I just clear them, delete them, and now I have the questions. The first 10 questions are the answers. So this is this one. Please carefully review the options detailed below and select one of the options, and here are the selection. It is either the project 1 or project 2. And here we see our discrete choice experiment, and the items were automatically generated, and you see that there's item F1111, F1111, and so on. So the first one is the attribute 1 our participants have seen, and this is the level of this attribute they have seen, and the second one will be this one. So as this situation, you see I have the first decision situation, then I had the second decision situation, and so on, and we have 10 of them. Theoretically, we can treat them as separate decision options. That is why they should be not in line, but they should be under each other, so they have to be in one column. And for this, I have to restructure my dataset. Let's see whether we managed to do it in a faster way. I thought about how to optimize this process, and I think the easiest way is to move these items here and try to put them all together, those which are related to the one item. So I take all the, hopefully I take the attributes which I have here. This is the first attribute people have seen. I take it from all 10 trials and put them all together. According to my plan, this should work faster than later by restructuring. It might take some time, but it should save us some time later. We didn't make this step, we made it manually one by one, so I hope that this is one of the optimizations we can use. number 6. Then we take the number 7. Many of you had only 5 decision options, many had 10 decision options, many had 8 decision options. So let's see whether it will work better if I just put them all here. Number 7, and then I have the number 8. Let's see whether I can move them at once. 8, 9, and 10. And let's see whether I can move them. It seems that I can. Let's see whether it works. I'm just moving the fields all together. Let's see. Yes, it worked. So the next one, this is the first attribute they have seen by each trial. And we had 10 trials, or they had 10 decision situations. Here is the first attribute they have seen. So the next one would be F211, 311, 411, 511, 611, 711, 811, 911, 1011. And I try to move them all here. So I just take this one and move it here, and hopefully they all 10 will appear. Yes. Then they saw the second option, and the second option was the F121. The second option, the second trial was F221, 321, 421, 521, and so on. And I move them all close to each other. This will allow me hopefully to make it faster during the restructuring. So we had the F111, this is the attribute they have seen, this is the level they have seen of this attribute, this is the second option they have seen by this attribute. So the next attribute they have seen is 1, 2, then comes the 2, 2, where is our, this one, 3, 2, 4, 2, and so on. So this is the second attribute they have seen, and now comes the second option they have seen by this attribute. This would be 1, 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, and so on. The next, so this is the attribute to name, this is the attribute to option 1, the next one would be the attribute to option 2, would be F122. So where is the 122? This is the one. Now let's take the 222. And we move them all beneath here. So this is the third attribute they have seen. So the next one would be in the second trial would be 2, 3, 4, 3, and so on. So I take the 2, 3, 3, 3, 4, 3, and so on. So this is the third attribute they have seen, and here comes the first option they have seen is the 1, 1, 3. Next one would be 2, 1, 3. And I don't know why, but we already have it. Is the way 2, 1, 3. No, it is here. 3, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, and so on. If you are not sure what kind of attributes goes where, take the manual which is uploaded. This was the zip file as Discrete Conjoint, and there are 2 files. The one is for developing a discrete choice experiment. The second one was the manual, and on page 10 below you can find how the items were coded. 913, 1013. So we move them here. Here comes the fourth attribute they have seen. So the 2, 4 would be the fourth attribute they have seen by the second trial, 3, 4, the fourth attribute they have seen by the third trial, and so on. So we move them here. And here is the first option they have seen by the fourth attribute, F114. The next one would be 214, 314, and so on. So they all belong here. The second option for the fourth attribute would be the F1, 2, 4. Actually, this one should it be? It looks that I missed something somewhere, but we'll check this one after the other one. So F114, the second would be 1, 2, 4, 2, 2, 4, and so on. This is the second attribute they have seen. Let's see where I have to put it here. 1, 2. Should be here. And I think the 1, 2, 3. This is, I missed somewhere here. Look, I have the attribute number 3, option 1, but I missed the option 2. So actually here between should be this 2. So this is always the question of your attention. Try to make it correctly. Don't miss anything. F1. So this should be here. So now they're sorted as people have seen them. They have seen by the first attribute, by the first trial, the first attributes, by the second trial, the first attribute, by the third trial, the first attribute. This was the option or level for the first attribute they have seen in the first trial here, and this is the second trial, the level for the first attribute, and so on. So now we can restructure them. Just to be sure, I save as, and I save my file as, I save it somewhere on the desktop, and I just call it, let's say, recording 1, save. Now I can restructure my data, and the rule is the number of attributes you have in your experiment plus 1. The number of attributes, why? Because in my experiment I had 4 attributes. It means each attribute will have a name. It will have the option 1 which has been shown and option 2 which has been shown. So we have 3 variables for each attribute. So number of attributes times 3 plus the decision, because people has also decided on something. These are my decision variables. That is why I go to data, I go to restructure, and I want to have them not in line but in column. This is the first option. I have 4 attributes, so 4 times 3 is 12, plus 1 decision is 13. Next, and here are the attributes I have, and I start with the decision. And these are my decision variables. I put them all here. It should be 10 decisions. I go to the next variable. In my case, it is the attribute 1 name. And I put all the attributes. Now it should be easier than by the first, than by our lecture, because we had to pick them manually. Now they're all listed here. I just can enter them here. It's faster, as you see. Now we come to the attribute 1, option 1. This is what kind of option they saw for the first attribute, and we go from F111 to F1011. We just enter them here. Now we go to the attribute 1, option 2. Option 2. This is what they saw for the second one, and they saw the F1 to 1 up to F10 to 1. Now we go to the second attribute, which has also a name. This is the one with the F1 till F10 Now we go to the attribute 2, option 1, and we take now the attributes to option 1, I have to think what it was. So it was the first attribute. Second, this was the second attribute. The first from here up to here. I hope I did correctly. Attribute to option 2. And 1 to 2 till 10 to 2. So here is the second option. Now I go to my attribute 3 name. And this was the 1, 3, and so on. So I put them here. Now I go to attribute 3 option 1. And this is the one with 1, 1, 3 till 10, 1, 3. And I go to attribute 3 option 2. And this would be the 1, 2, 3 till 10 to 3. So again, the first number stands for the trial or your decision situation. The second stands for the option. The third one stands for the attribute. That's why, not vice versa. So if you are not sure, check the file on, check the manual on how to process your discrete choice experiment. My next variable is the attribute 4 name. And these are the variables 1, 4 till 10, 4. This is the first trial, fourth attribute name. Now I go to attribute 4, option 1, and I put all the stuff which I have here. And the last one would be attribute 4, option 2. And we enter this data here. So now if you want to be sure, you just make this picture bigger. And you can check all of them. They should be of the same length and only one number should change. So if you go through them, you will see if something is missing, if you forgot something. So it's easy to see if something is wrong. What we do with those variables which we did not encode, we put them all into fixed variables. So we have these items we didn't encode, they just go to the fixed variables. Did I miss something? Q19 is here, Q10 is in decisions, if I see it correctly. Yeah, Q10 is already here. So we are more or less done. Remember, in my case, I made the changes in my SPSS that it shows me not the labels but the variable names. Maybe you should have labels. In this case, instead of Q1, you will have the question 1, please carefully review the option and so on. But it doesn't matter, it has no impact. We click on the next, it worked. So otherwise we should have checked one more time, but it works. We would like to have one index variable, and this index variable will be called index1. You can name it whatever you want, but I leave it by index1. I go to the next one, and I click on finish. And something happened, and you see my number of my variables disappeared, and I have only these variables here. So I have now them sorted. If I click on them, I see that this is the organizational cost, what the person has seen, and here were the two options which this person has seen. So now comes the next step. The next step is, again, I can restructure because these two options are the same variable. They saw the option 1, option 2, but it is the same. It was the option, the same variable. That is why I make my second restructuring. And I just go to restructuring data. I click on next, and the question is how many variables I should enter here, and this is the number of attributes. If I had 4 attributes, then they were all 4 represented, so just the number of attributes, I had 4. I click on further, and ID should be 1, not the ID, because we have already the variable ID here. And now I have the 4 variables. This was the attribute 1 choice, so what they have actually selected. And this attribute 1 choice will contain only 2 options. They had either the option 1 or option 2 for selection. The second attribute, 2 choice, is the one here. Remember, you don't have to have any blanks or minuses or points or dots. It doesn't work with SPSS. You can have the underscore, or you can have nothing, just attribute 3, so no attribute blank would not work, underscore choice. And again, we'll put here the choice up, the option 1 and 2 here. Look at the direction. Direction should always be the same, otherwise you will later have issues. Here the attribute for choice, and here are the two options for the attribute to choice. What do we do with the rest of variables? We should add them to fixed variables. We will need them. They didn't change. The attribute name didn't change, so the options have changed, but not the attribute name. So everything which is not encoded, which is not containing the word option, we just put into fixed variables. Did I miss something? No, everything is here. Up, back. I forgot to do it here. Now there are fixed variables. We go to the next step. It asks us whether we would like to have one index variable, and yes, we would like to have one. And here, pay your attention, we have already the index 1 variable. It is here, the line number 12. So we have to change it to another name, and I called it index 2. Next, next, and finish. And again, it became shorter. We have now the choices, and these are the actually what people have seen and the options. And the index 2 variable shows us was it the first option or the second option for the person. So we are now pretty good. I'm just saving the file, save as, because probably who knows what is going to happen. That's why it's always good to make a copy of your file. And now we have to encode this variable. I would like to know what kind of variables they had, and they all should be encoded as 1 or not. So they have seen my variables. To do so, I need to go to Excel, and I need to replicate my decision options, and I would like to have them in the wording exactly as it is written in SPSS, because later we will substitute the text by other texts, and we'll try to do it correctly. So these are the attributes and levels. And in my event, I had 4 attributes. The first one, the organizational costs. I call them org. Then I had the personal costs. Then I had the relational costs, and I had the efficiency. And here were the levels. I called them 1, 2, 3, 4. I had a maximum of 4 levels. You could have more, doesn't matter, because in the future I will encode the variable. The first variable will be org1, this would be org2, org3, or org4, but I need to know what was there. The direction matters only for this growing variable, for the scalable variable. In my case, this is the efficiency. This is my scalable variable. Let's see what kind of organizational costs I had in the SPSS. And let's look at the organizational costs. I had excessive usage of company resources. I copied from here. So I just copy and paste it here. The second one was the cost for adjustment. And it was cost for adjustment of business processes. I also had cost for adjustments of structure. Then was the temporary deceleration of business processes. This was this one. I know that I have issue with this data set. That's why it would be interesting for you to see how I resolve it. And this is the cost for adjustments of company structure. These are the different costs. So I copy them too, and I put them here. So now I have the all correct wordings for the levels for the organizational costs attribute. The next one are the personal costs. Let's see. These are in English. These are the human costs, and we have the increased expenditure of employees' time. I enter them here. Then we have the additional HR costs. I put them somewhere here. Direction doesn't matter. Changes in salary structure, which in Germany and probably in Austria too, assumes that the growth of salary, additional learning costs of employees. So this is the 4th item. So now we have the relational costs. Let's see whether I have somewhere the relational costs. I look at this first column, attribute name, and if I have the efficiency. Look, I can fill out the, but we start with relational cost. This is emerging or field feelings by business partners. I put them here. Then we have triggering internal discussions. This is the second level. And we have the tensions by business partners. So this is the 3rd attribute, and we had only 3rd level. We had only 3 levels for the relational costs. And the efficiency is easy. I think it was 10, 11, 12, and 13%. So I can just enter them here. It's better to copy, but I just know exactly how it was formulated. So I'm sure that there is no mistake here. The mistake is somewhere else, but you will see it now. Now I have to encode, I need to create this variable. I need to create the variable org1. So if I make a copy of this and paste it somewhere here, then I can click here and I know what kind of variables I would like to have. This will be the org1, 2, 3, and 4. This would be variable personal 1, and this would go to 2, 3, and 4. And this would be the relational 1, and I had only 3 levels, that's why it will be 1 and 3. And efficiency you can leave as it is, because we will have only one variable for the scalable. So if you have time, if you have emotionality from -5 to +5, if you have the time in seconds, money in euro, and so on, this would be the only one variable. Okay, so now we can start recoding the data, and we need to introduce new variables. We transform compute a variable, and this variable will be called, in my case, org1, and it should be equal to 1 if the person has seen this item. That is why we go to condition. It means if the person has seen it. So we need to say, yeah, actually, you should have seen it. It is the attribute choice equals to, and then I have the citation of text. Don't forget this citation. And we take the org1. This is the first item I copied from here. I put it here, and actually this item can appear not only here, it can also appear in the second attribute choice because they were randomized. That is why or the attribute 2 choice equals to this one, or, and I pasted attribute 3 choice equals to something, or the attribute 4 choice equals to this item. And I click on continue, click on OK, and the new variable appeared, and you see it is 1 here. 1, it means in one of these choices it has really appeared. Indeed, it is excessive usage of company resources. And here I also have somewhere the excessive usage, and here I also have somewhere the excessive usage of company's resources. So it seems to work. That is why I continue with the second variable. And the second variable is the org2. It equals to 1 if the person has seen the following text. Now I go to my following text. Is the cost for adjustment of business processes. This is my second text. So now I copy this because I know it can also be in the attribute 2. I just change it for 2. Then I go to the next one, and I have to check that the recording is running. Yeah, the recording is running, so it's fine. The second one is the attribute 3 choice. And we have the fourth one, which is attribute 4 choice. And click on continue and OK, and the variable appeared. It seems that it, do we have somewhere in 1? Yeah, we have the 1. Look at this cost for adjustment of business process. So it seems to work. Actually it didn't, but I show you in a second why. So the org3 is my third variable, and it should be equal 1 if the text equals to my third level, and my third level is here. This is the temporary deceleration of business processes. Here, and then, or it can be repeated. Don't pay attention that you don't use any additional blanks, that you don't forget a blank, because otherwise it might be problematic for SPSS. It will not understand what you exactly want to do. And the citation, don't forget the citation index, or the Gänsefüßchen in German. We click on continue and OK. So the third item is coded, seems to work. Now we make the fourth item, which is the org4. It equals to 1 if, and here I have to delete this text and substitute it by the item number 4, which is this one. Okay, or, and we copy paste it 4 times. So the first one for attribute 2 choice, click on or, the third one for the attribute 3 choice, and finally the fourth one for attribute 4 choice. Continue and OK. So the fourth item has been calculated, and you know that the person could have seen only once this item, because in one choice only one level will appear, so you cannot have 2 times costs for adjustment because it is just one option. Each person saw one of these 4 items, and then one of the 4 HR related items, one of the 4 relational cost related items, one of the 4 efficiencies. To check this, we go to analyze, compute variable, and we make the sum check. I know it will be problematic, but I just show you. First of all, you have to select all items, not some of them. So don't forget to click on this if and select include all cases. This is important. And it equals to, the command is sum, open the bracket, then work 1, comma, work 2, comma, work 3, comma, work 4. And you close the bracket and click OK. It should be equal to 1. And ta-da, you see the problem here. It is not equal to 1. At least you can sort it descending. If it is equal to 2, no, it seems to be 1 is the highest number. If you have 2, then you have encoded twice a variable, so you have to recheck it what you encoded. But in my case, I have a lot of missing variables, so something is wrong, and I know already what is wrong. Look at this item, additional cost for adjustment of business processes, and this is the item which I used, costs for adjustment of business processes. So on the go, during the experiment, my student changed the word from costs to additional costs, and that is why. So it found some items which we used, probably, I think it was the first 1 or 2 people who answered this one, then we noticed a mistake, we changed it on the go. That's why it's so bad to change your PHP file on the go. But still it is the same item, but a bit better formulated. So I have to substitute them. And this is the wrong item. I just copy it here, paste it somewhere, and can I copy and paste it somewhere here? And this is the correct item. This is the additional costs for adjustment of business processes. So this seems to be the correct item. And I think this is not the only issue. We had also additional costs for restructuring, adjustment of company structure. Look at this. We had also added this word additional to the item. So the second correct item will be this one, and the wrong item is this one. So if I want to do it correctly, I have to substitute the costs for additional cost, and here also these 2 items. How can I do it fastly? And I know some of you also had 1 point and some items without the point, and some make a blank, and the item were recognized as different, but actually they were the same with only 1 minor change. So how you do it? You have to recode the variables. You go to transform, recode into same variable, and I take all 4 variables, attribute 1 and 4 choice. I take the old values, and I would like to take all the costs for adjustment of business processes. These are here. And I would like to substitute them through this item, additional costs for adjustment of business process, which is here. And I just think I have a blank at the end of the item. Yeah, it was a blank. So I just add it, and I click on continue, and OK. So if it works, then I will not have the costs for adjustment of business process. I will have the additional costs. So there will be no item costs. No, I don't see it. It's only additional costs. Okay, not bad. Now I have to substitute the second one, because it was the cost for adjustment of business processes. Now I have to substitute the cost for restructuring, change in organizational structure. So the same items, but the different values. I can now delete those, and I have to add the others. I take now the cost for adjustment of company structure. This is the old value. A blank at the end, don't forget it. It happens if you copy it from Excel. And I would like to substitute them through the additional cost for adjustment of company structure. And the blank at the end. Add, don't forget to add, continue, OK. And now it worked fine. So now theoretically I have to repeat it for the items, and then it should work. I have to repeat all the variables. It was the org 2 and org 4. These were the 2 problematic variables. So I go to compute variable. And again, I formulate, I check the org 2 variable, and it should equal 1 if, and now include the costs. And now I have to make the correct ones. So the correct ones are this here. So they are the only correct ones. So I can paste them here. And this I can copy and paste here, so this would be the correct one, and the second should be this text. I copied from Excel, paste it here, then or, and then I repeat it 4 times. Oh, I don't know what I did. I did something, but I don't know what it was. Attribute 2 choice, or attribute 3 choice equals to this additional costs, or attribute 4 choice equals to additional costs. And we click on OK. And now we click on OK. I would like to change the existing variable because I'm changing the old one. Yes, I'd like to change it. So it has changed it. Now I do the same for the attribute number 4. Compute variable. This is the org4. Sorry, for the level 4. And these are the correct texts now. So I copy them from Excel. This is the correct one with the word additional. And I put it here. Or, and then I repeat it 4 times. Once I forgot to copy and I substituted header 2 in the sum because I just forgot, and one of the items was 2 times additional cost for process, restructuring processes, not the company structure. So pay attention that you make it correctly. So this is the 3, and we have another one which is the 4, and continue, and okay. Hopefully I would like to change the existing variable. Now it should be a bit better. And I repeat the sum check. So I delete the sum check, clear. And I run again compute the variable, and I include all variables. So no if statements. I make the sum check. And the sum check equals to sum of, and I'm summing up the 4 variables which I have here, which is the org1, comma, org2, comma, org3, comma, org5, comma, not comma, closing brackets. Click on OK, and it should be now everywhere. It should be a 1. So I know already that I had this issue by only 1 variable. That's why I will not repeat the sum check for the other variables. Now I'm going to calculate the other variables. Might be boring for you, but we wanted to see how fast I will do it. So I compute the variable. The next variable which I have is the personal one. And it should be equal to 1 if, now we have the condition, if attribute 1 choice equals to something. What was this something? This was the increased expenditure of employees' time. Here we go. Or, and we repeat the same 4 times. So for the second attribute, just changing the number of the attribute. For the third attribute, don't forget to change the number of the attribute, or the 4th attribute. So some of you had no randomization, so we would have to look only in 1 choice. In my case, I have randomization, so I have to look in all 4 choices. Continue. Okay. So I calculated something. Now I'm calculating the next variable, which is personal 2, equals to 1 if, and here I have to change text to the text from the second variable. This is the additional HR costs. Copying them. Or, and I add it just 4 times. Number 2. Here I add would be number 3. And here I add it again, deleting the last or. And number 4. Continue, and okay. So second variable has been calculated. Now we go to the next one. I had 4 of them, so personal cost 3 would equal 1 if, and here comes my statement. Changes in salary structure, so actually it means salary growth, but we wanted to formulate it neutrally. Or here I copied again, and I did attribute 2 choice. Then I did one more time attribute 3 choice, and I did one more time, which would be the attribute 4 choice. And click on continue, and okay. So I have the personal costs. Now we have the fourth, personal 4 equals to 1 if the text is the following. I delete it here, then I copy it from here. So, closing brackets, closing the, I don't know how to say, higher quotation marks. Exactly, quotation marks is a good word. So the attribute 2, then the attribute 3, and then we have the attribute 4, and I click on OK, continue. Okay, so we have the personal 4, and there will be 1 because I know I had issue only with the first variable. But if I were you, I would calculate again the sum check. So the sum of these 4 variables should be equal to 1. Then you know that you're right. We compute the next variable, which is the relational costs 1, equals to 1 if the text is the following. Emerging of ill feelings. So, or, and then I copy it and paste it 4 times. So the number 2, then I have the number 3, then I have the number 4, and don't forget to delete something what you don't need. Yep, and continue, and OK. So now I compute the next variable, which equals to 1 if the attribute text is triggering internal discussions by business partners. Closing, I see my colleagues are already having lunch and I am still making a video for you. So it took already more than half an hour, but we have what we have. Attribute 2 choice, then we have the attribute 3 choice, and then we have the attribute 4 choice. And I delete the last one, which here is the or statement, which I don't need. Okay. So now I compute the last of my categorical variables, which was the relational costs 3 equals to 1 if the text is the following. Tensions by business partners due to incompatibilities. We do it like this, or, and copy paste. 2 choice, attribute 3 choice, and attribute 4 choice. Now I'm done with my categorical variables, hopefully. Okay, let's see whether they all are there. Yes, they're here. It seems to be the sum would be 1. Now I have my scalable variable. The difference is that you put everything into one variable, efficiency, and C in my case was 10, 11, 12, or 13. These are the numbers. I can use them directly, so it should equal to 10 if then attribute 1 choice equals to 10%. In your case, it would be 5 minutes or 20 euro. Take into account it should be written correctly, so don't make any typo blanks, just copy the text from what you had. So I just copy it here. So I have some blanks here, which are missing. The 1 is too much. And it was attribute 2 choice, attribute 3 choice, attribute 4 choice. And if it is 10%, it will be 10. Then I can use the number directly in my regression. So it has calculated something. Now I repeat and I encode into the same variable. Now I write here 11. So it is not an additional variable because I can write here directly. I can use the numbers later in my calculations. Will be 11 and 11. It's like in the movie Stranger Things, 11. Yes, change the existing variables. Now it added somewhere 11, I see. Now I have to compute variables again. It is the same, will be 12. Now we'll just put here 12 everywhere. So it is pretty easy to make, that's why it's so good. Yes, change the existing variable because I'm just adding data to the same variable. And the last one was 30 in my event. So it was 13%, 13%, 13%, and 13%. Continue and OK. Change variable, yes. Now we have two things to do. Look, we need to have some zeros here, and we have only ones. But before we do it, let's calculate the decision. And what about the decision? It was decision either 1 or 2. This was this nice variable decision, 2 or 1. And this was the option seen. So theoretically, if I decided for the option 2, and this was option 2, the decision was positive for this one. It should be 1. If it was decision 2 and I saw option 1, it should be 0. It was against this decision. So calculating the variable final decision, I will call it final decision. This is our main dependent variable decision is simple. It should be equal 1 if, and here comes the interesting things. We have the if decision equals to index 2. It means I decided for option 2. If I saw the option 2, it will be then 1. I decided to take option 1 was option 1, so it would be equal 1. If not, nothing will happen. So we'll just make it final decision equals to 1, hopefully. Now we see it as the final decision. If you are not sure, you can take these two variables, the decision and the index variable, and move them to the bottom that you can see whether it was correct or not. So then you will see if they correspond the same, it should be 1. If not, nothing happened. So with this nothing happened should be 0. We make one more time calculation. It should equal to 0 if decision doesn't equal to index 1, so is not equal to index 2. Continue and OK, and change existing variable. Now the zeros appeared. So now we are more or less done with coding. We lack only here the zeros. We have the ones, but if it is not 1, then it is 0. So it's easy to encode. We make it in the following way. We go to transform, recode into the same variable, and we take all the variables we have here. This is the org1 till relational 3. Sum check, we don't need sum check here. Yeah, I would like to change the values, and if it is missing, and it is missing, it is not 0, just a dot. So it is system or user missing, it should be equal to 0. And I add, don't forget to click on this add. Then the missing to 0 appeared, and then I click continue, and if I click OK, then the 0 should appear everywhere. So now we are done. Now we can run our regression, and we have the dependent variable, which is the final decision, and we have the independent variables, which are the org 1, 2, 3, 4, pers 1, 2, 3, 4, relational 1, 2, 3, and efficiency. We go to analyze, we go to regression, and we run the binary logistic regression. Our dependent variable is the final decision. Our independent variables is everything here but the sum check and the efficiency. We put them just here. We click on OK, and it is in my second screen here. We have the tables. I will post additional videos from the channel howtostats.com. It is really a great channel on YouTube, and the guy explains perfectly what happens and how the variables are calculated, so just perfect. So we go now to the final decision, and I see already that we have a problem by org4. Look at this variable. It should have been skipped, so probably there was something is wrong. So one of the variables contains 2 times, so it should have been skipped. So I had a mistake in my variables. Definitely. Let's go to org4 and the sum check. Maybe the sum check is somewhere 2. Sort descending. No, it is 1. Do we have the org4? Because it should have been skipped. If it is not skipped, then something is not good. So I'm just deleting the sum check. Clear, and I try to calculate one more time the sum check. Compute variable, because something is check. It should equal to, I take all variables, and it should equal to sum of, and we make it because the org4 seems to be a problem. Closing brackets, continue, okay. Let's go back to our file. Let's go to the sum check and let's see what happens with the sum check. So equals to 1, sort ascending, equals to 0. Again, it didn't calculate the correct answer. So it is 0, it means something is wrong with org check. So this one here should be something different. Let's see what was then wrong. Additional costs, changes in additional costs. So the organizational cost should it be? And we have organizational costs only here, additional costs for the company structure. So it didn't calculate this additional cost for the company structure, and it should have calculated those. I see already what could be the problem. We have many items where we had no decision. So we forgot the one thing to do. Send ascending, and these are the decisions which have not been made. So probably it is because of those decisions which have not been made, it thinks that the item exists but actually didn't. So the first 230 cases can be deleted because they have no decision. So those people who just started making questionnaire and stopped, or just made 1 or 3 decisions and didn't make any further. So we cannot use them. I just clear them. Now I'm going to calculate again the sum check, compute variable sum check, and see whether it will become better. I would like to change the existing variable. I'm going back, and now it should be everywhere 1, hopefully. No, it's still 0, so it didn't calculate 3 items. It had problems with the 3 items somewhere here, the first 3. And I assume there was a kind of blank at the end or something like this. Adjustment of the company structure, additional cost of company structure. So this should be then company structure. This should be 1. So why didn't go? Probably there was a blank somewhere and it didn't calculate it. We can do it luckily manually. So there's only 3 items. I know this was the item number 4, additional cost for adjustment of company structure. And as I know this the item 4, I can manually input it and say, okay, this was the 1, 1, and 1, 1, and 1. So now the sum check should be correct. You see, always learn something new. And the sum check is now all 1s, hopefully. Yes, they are all 1s. Now we try to run the logistic regression, and one item, if you remember, should be skipped. So we go to logistic regression. It still is here. I don't know why. So it seems that one of the items is still not there. Should have been skipped. I'll just check this out, just a second. So I could not find why it didn't happen. Should happen automatically, everything is correct. But if it happens in your case, you do the same as I did. You just skip one item on your own. So I would like to compare the first 3 items to the first one. I just skip it and click on OK, and here comes the nice table of the things which I have here, and the interpretation can be found in the videos which I will post in our lectures. So here what we have, you see some significant and insignificant differences. You see that efficiency is highly significant. You see that their relational costs 1, they are significant. It means they are significant if compared to relational cost number 3. So if I see the 2 options, the option which is relational cost 1 and relational cost 3, I would definitely go for the relational cost 3. Why? You see it on this coefficient. If it is positive, I would like to have this. If it is negative, I don't want to have this. Then we also made during the lecture the calculation with Excel and the probability of occurrence. This is a kind of, I found it a bit worrying that we all had a too high probability of occurrence. I think most of you had about 50 to 80%, which is a kind of too much. And I had, vice versa, had too low coefficients. I assumed there could be a mistake. That is why I recommend you to work with this expected B values. An expected B value is easy to interpret. If it equals to 1, it means the person is indifferent. It is the odd that the first option is preferred over the second option. And if it is equal, so it means there is no chance, it's like 50-50 chance. It will be just taken, they will be equally preferable. If it is higher than 1, then it is highly likely that you would prefer this option. Then it would be here. Also, the one which you would like to have, it will be here positive. And it means if you see the org 2 and the org 4, which has been skipped, then with the probability in one 1.6 times more, you would prefer the option times the organizational cost number 2. So it was 1.6 times more often, or 1.6 times more likely you would prefer this option. If you have like 4,000, it means you will have 4 times more often preferring the option org2 over the org4. And if this number is below 1, that means you wouldn't like to prefer. It's only this option times 0.887 that you prefer this option. So if you have the option 4 and option 3, it is very unlikely that you prefer the option number 3. And if you have the odds, then will be the ratio of these odds will be 0.887. The whole description of how to interpret it can be found in this video, but it means if you have the option, it is 0.88 times more likely, so it is lower than 1, it is less likely that you would prefer option 3 over the option 4. And the same relates here. What relates to the willingness to trade, it is calculated as I told you. You take the B value and you divide it by the minus scalable coefficient. In this case, it will be 0.656 divided by 343. Let's see whether we can calculate the willingness to trade, organizational cost 1 over the organizational cost 4. So I have the program here. It is, let's take the organizational cost 1 as compared to 4. It is minus 0.656 times minus, don't forget this minus, no, it is times minus, so it is still times 0.343, and it will be times minus 1. And it's 1.22, so I have to offer, if I have these 4 options, the option 4, which is not shown here, and the option 1 here, these 2 types of organizational costs. And if I want that the people go for the first one instead of the 4th one, because you see they would like to have the 4th one, they don't want to have the first one, I need to offer at least 1.225 of additional efficiency. So I have to offer a much more efficient solution if I would like that people go for this unlikely option, organizational cost 1. This is how you interpret it, and please use the expected B values for the interpretation. It means the probability of occurrences times 1.6 higher, more likely than the probability of occurrence on this one. You can find the right interpretation in the videos which I will post to the lecture. So we are done. I spent about 45 minutes, so I promised you that you will be able to do it in 40 minutes. Again, I had a mistake, so I assume that more or less it is the time which I promised you can do. I wish you good luck with the experiment. Feel free to watch this video, make some breaks, make the calculation step by step, pause the video to make the calculation, follow it, and then it should work. Good luck with your research, good luck with the data and its interpretation. Bye-bye.